Hello, Marianne. How are you? Yes, it is Richard.
Hi, Richard. Just getting back to you. You left me a message
Oh, when was that?
this morning, I think, on my phone.
Oh, are you at Saltwater Clinic?
I am, yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
I spoke to you. I'm the manager of the team that caves in, and we spoke when you
Oh,
were
okay. Wait.
unit.
Hang on. Can you just remind me of your name again and where we spoke before?
Marianne
Yep.
Croato,
Yep.
and you were at Claremore, and we spoke on the phone once during that time.
Yeah, you'll have to forgive me. The hierarchy of power that is the oppression of your institution and is now forcibly medicating me for delusions that are actually real, and is in absolute opposition to anything that's sane or legal or ethical. I forget things, so apologies for not remembering who you were.
No worry, no need to apologise. That's completely fine. You probably saw about 20 different people during that period.
Oh, look,
Maybe
it's,
more.
it's been an epic journey of utter destruction. And I just want to say, I mean, you're well aware that I suffered what was deemed in the Freedom of Information as a fatal injury within Werribee Mercy Hospital. And you're also well aware that, it was deemed a fatal injury in a lethal attempt. And that event, that tragedy, was really not the fault of mental illness. It was from a prolonged and systemic government oppression underscored by powerful key political stakeholders. Now, I know that you're only framed by what you can do. That's the human tragedy of my story, because I've got a broad story of persecution that was the causation of what was literally murder. And, I died, and then it was covered up by the hospital and the police and the ombudsman, and I was absolutely categorically framed from justice. And further to that, if Saltwater Clinic cared, or the hospital cared, they wouldn't exist purely as a mechanism for my oppression and medication. They would see that I'm a holistic human being that has sentience and worth, and I deserve to exist without being exploited, robbed of prosperity, bereft of a lawyer, banned from police, and a failed whistleblower. So, as you can see, I am not really at resonance with the other humans on the planet who have access to litigation, which is part of the Charter of Human Rights. So, when these situations come up, such as the medication of me for delusions that are unequivocally proved true, I have an ethical obligation to say that I oppose it, because it's unjust. It's actually unfounded, and I've already proven that the movement to oppress me exists. That further oppression has happened for 18 months after I literally died, and it's like a black comedy, really. Like you would have to admit that Saltwater Clinic are there for a reason, to identify illness. An illness which is I'm medicated for, and you're force medicating me for. The government has already exploited me, and the government has already oppressed me to the point of death. And now the Office of Prime Minister and Cabinet are refusing my match, thousands of matches, of freedom of information.
Sorry, what are they? The Prime Minister and Cabinet are refusing what?
My freedom of information, Dale. So the systemic oppression that's happening, the jewel in the crown of the fucking oppression, is the Office of Prime Minister and Cabinet, who oversees the whole government, and would easily see, if that was released, I would be reverse engineered millions and millions of dollars, including the cover-ups with lawyers, Werribee Mercy Hospital, and, of course, the obvious thing, which the whole of the bloody thing is not paying attention to, is that the brain detriment of losing all my blood. And, I've never once seen a neurologist. You haven't pointed me one. No one's put their hand up and said, gee, it's shit what happened to Rich. he lost all his blood, and then, after he died, we dumped him in the community and utterly forsaked him. So, it's a black comedy because... Are you ringing up today to remind me to go somewhere to get a needle in the arse?
Yeah.
So, can you see, just by what I've said in that short, honest narrative, why that's problematic for me?
I understand why it's problematic for you. I hope that we can work with you in a way that doesn't feel like it is just this injection. I know we want to work more holistically with you than just forcing you to have an injection against your will.
It's too late. It's too late.
That can never be enough on its own. But I guess we've gone for a fair while without doing the injection, and so there was a decision made to see if an injection for several months will make a difference.
Excuse me, can I ask, who is the person responsible for this unjust treatment?
Well, it's a team as a whole, a service as a whole decision.
So when you stone someone to death, when you stone someone to death, and every person throws a stone, you can't blame anyone. Now I'm of oppression getting this. Now I want a name so I can go and have a conversation with them and explain to them why this is unjust, why it's unethical, and why this further oppression of me as delusional when it's actually factually correct. And I want to have a conversation with that person. I want an opportunity, if you will kindly indulge me, to open the dialogue and explain to them why this is deficient and why it is persecuting me.
Yeah. So the person who is currently the authorised psychiatrist overseeing your care is Dr. Thinzo, who you spoke to yesterday on the phone. Now, she is willing to keep seeing you and having conversations about...
What do you mean, keep seeing me? I've never met the bitch.
Well, you'll meet her, yeah. She's
I've never fucking met her, and she is state sanctioning me to get a fucking needle in the arse, and I've never fucking met her. Are you serious, doll? And you know what? She said to me, if you don't... And I got a letter last Friday that said, if you don't report to us, we will get the police and you'll be hospitalised. Now, that's not a caring thing to do. That's a abuse of power and a power play, which puts me at deficiency of being away from my beautiful dog in my simple life, and it is an abhorrent way of prejudicing and abusing someone to get them to do what you want. Now, every single person there is resonant with this oppression. That woman, Thinzor, I've never met her, is taking agency over my control. I recorded her yesterday, and she is absolutely deficient in her heart, and she is a pathological fucking psychiatrist because, she still wants me to take it. I had atoned to her that I agree that I need something to calm me down and I need to take this medication, but she refused to acknowledge all of my rational and just and ethical legal arguments, and I have no say in this, do I?
At the moment you don't. You have a say to ask for another hearing, so you can put a request in to get another hearing. You could get the second psychiatric opinion, which I understand you didn't go to the appointment. But if you
Excuse me, madam. I am a vagrant. I have suffered the injustice of not being able to be compensated in so many ways, worth multi-millions of dollars. The world has designed me as a vagrant, and I'm sorry if I missed a phone call. For fuck's sake.
It's not punitive. I know it feels that way to you. It's about as a service, and it's not just Dinser and it's not just the inpatient doctors. It's ongoing dialogue between all of us that we are going to give you a go at treatment for an extended period and see if it can help you regain enough improvement so that you can really get life back on track. I don't think it's the only thing that you're going to need. You are going to benefit from other support from us, and we are keen to give you other support. But at this
Excuse me, can I just be blunt? I have never seen a neurologist, a dentist. No one's given me any money. In whole 18 months of the vagrancy that's been witnessed by you, I have only got a $50 Coles voucher. That is the fucking extent of it. You are existing as a service to further exploit, identify, victimise and vilify me.
So that's not what we're intending to be. And
Well, that is what you are. That is the facts. That is the facts of my experience with your service. And I'm an allied health professional. I'm actually one of you. And I absolutely know with my heart and my tent and my ethics that you are all acting in coherence and conspiracy to actively further the oppression from a system that is already corrupt.
And I absolutely am hearing you, and I am not refuting that we are using a power over you, which is very harsh for you because you don't want us to enforce this treatment on you, and we are using the Mental Health Act to do so.
Can I just interject something? I just want to say something
about that, and that's not going to be resolved because we're going to use the power of that act to keep the treatment up to you. So unfortunately, the only power that act is to put you back in hospital. So the deadline for that is passed, but you're lucky Dr. Zinza hasn't done the paperwork yet. So I've just spoken to her about if you could get here by 1 o'clock, could she hold off doing the paperwork, and she's agreed to do that. So if you can be here at Saltwater and Footscray by 1 o'clock, you could get the injection and not have to have that treatment order varied. I'm not sure if you're...
What are you talking about, treatment order varied?
So the way the treatment is enforced via the Mental Health Act is via this treatment order.
And you're going to come back by the police, is that right?
Well, we would probably need the police's assistance to admit you for sure, because you'd be...
Do you know what the irony is? Is that I can't report rape, murder, tax fraud, injustice, conspiracy to pervert the course of justice, corrupt officials. I'm the victim of a literal murder, and the police have been so instrumental in denying any agency or voice to complain. And further, I don't exist to the police. In actual fact, the Office of Prime Minister and Cabinet have admitted that I've got thousands of matches in my Freedom of Information, and then they came back and said that I don't exist. And that's a metaphor of how society treats me. Because I'm a human being with inherent value and worth, and the world hasn't treated me like that. And it is absolutely pointed out to say that you are using a law backed by police, which back the law, but the law doesn't go the other way for me. So I can literally be murdered. I can have a brain injury. I know about crime. I've been prosecuted, persecuted. I've been rejected, conspired against, and I'm the victim of an elaborate conspiracy to fucking destroy me. And I can't, through hick or nick, report any of that to police. I've even cried about it on a public website because it'll kill me. It's called killhim.info. And the evidence that is factually presented on that website makes up the sum of what you're medicating me for, which is for a psychosis. However, the psychosis is a factual, rational event that's occurred in my life.
Yeah.
How do you justify giving me these drugs? How do you justify giving me an antipsychotic if my persecution is real?
Enough people who have seen you have felt that while there can be rude aspects of your presentation that have got absolutely based in reality, that the way it presents for you is kicking up into the mental health sort of level of your presentation. So most people have identified that how you're presenting is explain my mental illness, and it needs to be treated. So we've had the tribunal look at that as well, and they've formed opinions separate to our organisation. We've had different people, as you know, in our organisation come to that position.
The organisation's corrupt.
We're all misinterpreting and we're getting it wrong. I'm hearing that loud and clear from you. And over time, you have the opportunity to keep trying to convince us that we're wrong. And
I don't need to convince you. I factually know it. You are oppressing me.
Yeah. So look, where we're up to is there's the two things. One is this treatment is going to be enforced by the Act. So I'm here to work.
So you're just there as a pawn, paid like a hooker by the government to oppress me, in a way that's got no agency and no individualism, and is towing the party line to oppress and destroy me and further oppress me. That is what is happening, and I acknowledge that you work within a system. You get your fucking money paid by the government, which keeps you with bread on the table. I don't have that privilege. I don't eat today, and you know, you're ripping me out of this defamed fucking existence that is in abject poverty to further oppress me, and you're paid by the government to do that.
The other part I wanted to say was that is the separate part, which is the recovery plan, which is where you definitely can put on your plan with PAYID. What you want to follow up with PAYID is getting a neurology link, getting that dental stuff going. So those things we do want to work with you on. You know, we don't want to be just.
Why is it up to the agency of me to be forsaken for 18 months and live in abject poverty, while the only reason you people are in my life is because apparently I'm sick? But I actually think that society is sick.
Yeah.
Because I have a legitimate reason that is fact-based that has those results. And Cade is another person who rejects my justice. He supports the government and the police, and he also supports that I have no agency to complain, and he works under the auspice of Dave Stevenson and the police and the federal government, who are all on the one side of identifying me with illness and reducing any shame or fault of their own, which led to my own murder and then its cover-up, and has willingly, consciously kept me in poverty for 18 months.
So where are we up to? Are you thinking you're going to make it here by 1 o'clock and get the depot and see Dr. Zinza?
It's like I'm just not existing. Like I say A. Like if I say something, you say something back.
I'm hearing you, Richard. I'm hearing you, and I think you've heard me too. So I need you to know that this is proceeding, that the treatment is going to be enforced, and I absolutely get that you are wanting to convince me that that is a wrong decision, but that is the decision, and so I want to move on to, do you want to have it here before 1 o'clock today? And
can I make it a bit later in the afternoon? I'm just in the middle of something. Can I make it later in the afternoon? I'm just in the middle of something. I'm going to film it though, and I will film it, because this is actually a human rights abuse.
Okay, so the order's going to be varied at 1 o'clock.
What are you talking? Hang on. Wait. What do you mean it's going to be varied? What's that mean?
That's when it gets varied to you having to go back to hospital.
Oh, so at 1 o'clock you're pulling the pin, and I'm going to. So if I'm not there by 1 o'clock and get a needle in the ass, you're going to avoid everything I've ever said, and you're going to persecute me by forcing me a medication for a psychosis that's actually not, and it's real, and that you're further oppressing me, and further you have no individualized thought, you have no agency, you have no personal opinion. You are resonant with this oppression that's literally killed me and is still oppressing me. I feel sorry for you. I have pity for you. I love you, but I have pity for you. I'll come at what's the time now?
11:45.
I'm going to film this needle because I'm making a documentary on oppression and persecution. And if I'm going to cop a needle in the arse, you're going to have to cope with me filming it being done to me by people who are oppressing me. So that's the deal.
You're not going to be allowed to film it, I'm afraid. No.
It's a bit of a cover-up, is it? Why? Surely there's nothing wrong with it.
You know, you're a person who posts your footage, so it's a personal privacy thing.
By who?
For the clinicians here, so that's not going to be possible.
But the clinicians there have ethical responsibilities just as people and human beings like the rest of us. Like if they weren't doing anything wrong, they wouldn't cover it up, surely.
That's not a binary thing. No, it's more complicated than that. So look,
it's not complicated. I'll come in half an hour. All right.
If you want to develop a documentary and you want to get permission to film things, you'll have to go through an ethics process. There'd be a big process to be able to film things in this.
Fuck process. I haven't got time for process because I'm fucking starving here. I've got no money. Yeah. I've got no worth. Yeah. I'm squatting. I've got no home. I've got no rights. I've got no dignity, no human value. I've got no friends. My family has forsaken me, and the powers that be are further oppressing me. Now, I've got no fucking time for an ethics process. Go fuck yourself. I'll come in for the needle in half an hour, okay?
Okay, we'll see you here in half an hour. See you, Richard. Bye.
Fuck.